Daleks Versus the Martians. This is a comic book story as published in the 1996 spring special of Doctor Who magazine. It features the characters from the Doctor Who theatrical films, and it serves as a prequel to Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD, which will be the next thing we cover. Josh, how about you start us off with what actually happens in the comic?
Well, I mean, it's 8 pages long, so not much happens, but it's a very basic story. So they land on Mars, hence the Martians.
Well, you wouldn't find Martians anywhere else.
Well, we'll see.
Unless they go on holiday.
So they land on Mars, and there's Daleks. Of course there is. They're in the name of the thing, so why wouldn't there be?
Fair enough.
So now it's different to the first movie, as discussed last week. This time we have Doctor Who, Susan, and Louise.
It's at some point between the events of Doctor Who and the House on Old Dark Moor and this story, Doctor Who has ditched Ian and Barbara in favour for his niece, Louise.
Yeah, so something I found interesting is Louise calls him the Doctor, which is just a bit strange.
Yeah, we're so used to calling him Doctor Who, of course.
Because his first name is Doctor, apparently.
Well, no, that's his job title, I'd imagine.
You never know. Whose surname's who?
His.
Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. So Louise gets taken by the Daleks. Did you know?
Well, as one does. So the Daleks attack, right? The Daleks attack Doctor Who, Susan, and Louise, threatening to take them to analysis and experimentation. And then the Martians appear from the Earth to attack the Daleks. And in the scupper, the Martians get Doctor Who and Susan out. However, the Daleks make off with Louise.
Yeah. So Doctor Who and Susan go with the Martians to their underground civilization.
Yep, that's in tunnels underneath the Martian Sphinx. That's what Doctor Who came to see, the Martian Sphinx on Mars.
Seems odd that it had a whole lot of canals, though.
Why not? It's from the...
I mean, why not just... Why not just drain them? Then you can have canallyways instead.
I mean, from what I recall, they call them canals, but I don't remember seeing any water in them.
Yeah.
So
slightly odd.
So they probably used to be canals. Go ahead, Josh.
I'm moving on with the plot. So the Martians explain that the Daleks came in a metal moon, which we can assume is their ship.
Yeah, the Dalek saucer.
And they're setting up Mars as sort of a base camp so that they can stage an attack on the blue planet, which we're led to believe is Earth.
Well, of course it's Earth. Bloody hell. It's not going to be Pluto, is it? It's not going to be Neptune. There's only...
I'd like to see them try to invade Neptune.
As of 1996, there's only like 3 blue planets in the solar system: Earth, Pluto, and Neptune. Is Pluto blue? Chris, can you confirm that? I think Pluto's blue.
It's always depicted as blue.
Yeah, so Earth, Neptune, and Pluto. Judging by where Mars is in the solar system, it kind of has to be Earth.
Yeah, that is a fair assumption. So cut back to the Dalek ship, moon thing.
Saucer.
The Daleks are in... Yeah, well, the Martians call it a moon, so you never know.
The Martians are wrong.
They also can't speak, so I don't know why we're saying this.
Well, they do
some weird telekinesis thing. they might be able to do that as well. We don't know.
I mean, they don't show it in the story, even though it would come in useful many times.
Anyway, bit of a tangent. So the Daleks are interrogating Louise because that's what you do when you get prisoners, and she reveals the secrets of TARDIS.
So,
that TARDIS exists.
So, of course, the Daleks know at this point in time that humans do not have access to space travel. So that's why they interrogate Louise to ask them how on Mars they got on Mars. And, she reveals Doctor Who and TARDIS.
Yeah. So, naturally, the Daleks want TARDIS.
Of course, secrets of time travel.
Domination.
Time travel, who doesn't want that? I want it.
I can imagine there's some people.
No, I think everyone wants it, Josh.
Okay. Anyway.
Except chefs. They want to keep their time.
Shut up, Christopher.
No.
Anyway, so there's hieroglyphics in the Martian underground cave system. And they turn out to activate this giant robot thing. Just because, why not?
So the Martian Sphinx is a Gundam. It is a massive fighting robot that can shoot lasers. As if you're watching the stream, you can see in the illustration. The Martian Sphinx can shoot lasers. Just why not? It's the 90s. You can do whatever in the 90s.
Everything could shoot lasers in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it's voice activated with machine code.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. But the hieroglyphics are on the walls of the canals are machine code to activate the bloody Gundam. So you can just imagine Doctor Who standing there shouting 10001110, and then the Martian Sphinx just gets up. So
starts attacking the Dalek because it obviously has a mind of its own, so it knows what to do.
Yeah, so Doctor Who and the Martians instruct the Martian Sphinx to attack the Daleks, but not the Dalek saucer. So this gives time for Doctor Who to go in and save Louise. And Doctor Who does go into the Dalek saucer to save Louise. Problem being, it's a trap.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so, yeah.
Yeah, so
everything is.
Doctor Who's trapped. And the Daleks are going to take him back to Skaro to interrogate him to get the secrets of time travel. And of course that would be a bad thing. But then something weird happens. The Martian Sphinx attacks the Dalek saucer despite no one telling it to do so. It just does it. And it's imagined that, so the Dalek saucer was going to make off for Skaro, but then the Martian Sphinx attacks it and it crashes. It was taken off for Earth. I'm looking at my notes and seeing it was taken off for Earth, not Skaro. And the saucer crashes into the planet, presumably killing Doctor Who and Louise. And this is where the story ends, I'm afraid. They're dead. The last panel is Susan crying.
Well, technically, one of the last panels is Susan crying.
Oh, you had to ruin my fun, didn't you? Alright, so
yeah.
Doctor Who and Louise don't die, as annoying as Louise is.
To be fair.
Yeah. And they got off on a Dalek floating platform. And thus ending the story. Well, the story ends with Doctor Who contemplating that this might have been the eve of war as they get back to TARDIS.
Pretty good foreshadowing. Well, post-foreshadowing.
Well, it's called a prequel, Josh.
Yeah.
So Yeah, of course, the writers knew that the events after this are Daleks' invasion of 2150 AD, and that's what we're going to cover next. But first of all,
The final review.
what did you think of the story?
Well, I guess I'll go first. This is for how short it was. Had some action, had some plot points.
Yes, action and plot points.
That's about it. That's about it. I mean, it's short. It was never meant to be a massive story.
No, well, yeah, well, it was written well. So I think it was a backup comic for Doctor Who magazine. They only had 8 pages that they could fill, so they had to tell it in 8 pages. So it had to be quite a short story.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna give it out of 10 because this is something we do now. 7. Because I mean, for what it is, it's a good story.
Right, Chris, did you actually read this comic?
Yeah, I've read everything this week.
Oh, that's good.
So proud. Yeah, I mean, it was short and sweet. It was, in a weird way, it was kind of odd that it didn't leave it on quite as much of a cliffhanger as most other comics I've read recently. It sort of did manage to conclude at least an arc in sort of quite a tidy way. Although they kind of they never really addressed the fact that the Martians were there. It's kind of like, Martians.
Why not? You know.
Yeah, I don't really know where he got the idea of Daleks versus the Martians from. It was more Daleks sit on Mars and Martians watch.
Yeah, well, the Martians did attack them. The Daleks
but that was still very much a one-way fight. The Daleks didn't really do much in retaliation.
Yes, it really should have. It really should have been called Martians versus the Daleks. Oh well.
Yeah, no, that's a tangent. Chris, what do you rate it out of 10?
But yeah, for that reason, probably go 6 out of 10.
I think for what it is, this story is pretty good. It really is a very 90s kind of story with a Gundam in it. Just very 90s. It works well as a prequel to Daleks Invasion Earth 2150 AD. I think it's good at what it's setting out to do. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. So that leads us into the second episode for the week,